Over a month ago, I released my first video on MLP analysis, and my first topic of discussion had to do with the character of Fluttershy. I have enjoyed Fluttershy since the very beginning when I first took an interest in MLP. She keeps herself calm in her everyday demeanor. She speaks softly even when others are raging around her. She spends her life caring for those who are unable to care for themselves. She represents the element of kindness and is an inspiration to ponies and bronies everywhere. She is the kind of character that spreads so much good to so many that come in contact with her. When I released my first video, the response I had gotten was overwhelming. It seemed that so many people had been waiting for someone to finally explain why Fluttershy is such a wonderful character. Though a great many people enjoyed how adorable Fluttershy is, there weren't as many people who enjoyed Fluttershy as a character. And I still feel that one of the main reasons as to why this is comes from the fact that there aren't as many people out there who can relate to Fluttershy or her struggles. It was my hope that I could convince even just a few others about how inspiring her character is and just how much strength she has within. But even with how much I have explained about Fluttershy, and even with how many others have had second thoughts on their feelings about her, there is still a great deal more to admire. Fluttershy shows us that she is fragile, that she has many fears and insecurities that keep her from being as happy as she would like to be. And this is something that she has had to deal with from an early age. As I have stated before, I believe that she may have some of these insecurities for the rest of her life. This is something that is very apparent with Fluttershy even in the first episode that makes her the main focus. In DRWolf, we get this sense about Fluttershy's character even before we are told about the dragon. She is running around town trying to tell people about the approaching cloud of black smoke, and yet she is unable to get anyone's attention. She prefers to be soft-spoken, but even more than that, she wants to avoid creating any kind of conflict with others. She doesn't want to be a bother to anyone. And when her friends are preparing to go up the mountain to confront the dragon, she still doesn't want to create conflict. We can tell that she is afraid, but we can also see that she is trying not to disappoint her friends. We can also see that she falters along the way. Despite all the positive encouragement from her friends, her fears are still overtaking her. And when the moment for confronting the dragon arrives, Fluttershy is finally able to confess her fears. And we see that she is unwilling to go even one step further. But once the dragon has been angered, Fluttershy realizes just what is at stake. And within a matter of moments, she finds the strength to put aside all her fears and put the dragon in his place. When her friends were at the mercy of an enraged dragon, Fluttershy had managed to overcome her struggles. And this is not the only time in the series when she has managed to put aside her insecurities. We see similar circumstances in The Stairmaster when Fluttershy is being overwhelmed by the CMC. In an attempt to discover their cutie marks, the CMC decide to track down a chicken that has wandered into the Everfree Forest. When Fluttershy realizes that the CMC are missing, she overcomes her hesitations and follows their trail into the forest. Once again, she falters along the way, losing herself in a panic. When she manages to find the CMC, she tries to warn them about the cockatrice nearby, but the CMC still don't understand the danger. That is, until the cockatrice comes across the lost chicken and turns it to stone. Now the CMC are also panicking, and Fluttershy doesn't know what to do. The cockatrice approaches, and Fluttershy looks at the cowering CMC behind her. And within moments, she finds the strength to put aside her fears and put the cockatrice in its place. Fluttershy has shown us that despite her fears, she will shine through in the moments that matter the most. It is a very admirable aspect to her character, and that is still something that I enjoy about her even to this day. But it wasn't until recently that I realized that Fluttershy is not the first character that I have admired for her humble courage. Looking far back before the fourth generation of MLP had even aired, there was another character that I had great respect and admiration for, also because of her humble courage. And when I compared these two individuals, I began to realize just how much they had in common. And that character is Mrs. Brisby from The Secret of Nimh. Though this character and her film may have been before your time, I would encourage everyone within the sound of my voice to seek out this movie and discover how much Mrs. Brisby makes for an enjoyable and an inspiring character. If you enjoy the character of Fluttershy, then I'd say you will likely enjoy Mrs. Brisby as well. They are both very humble characters, spending their lives showing kindness to all those under their care. They both have to struggle with fears, great and small, and they both show their strength when they are able to overcome those fears to save those that they love. Throughout the movie, Mrs. Brisby faces a number of seemingly impossible obstacles while also showing us just how fragile she can be. First by saving Jeremy the Crow from the frightening cat, Dragon. Then with trying to stop the plow from destroying her home. Then with meeting the great owl, realizing that he could simply eat her at any moment. Then with Brutus, the rather intimidating door guard that chases her away. She risks her life to drug Dragon the cat for the sake of the rats. She struggles to save her home and her children from sinking into the mud. She even grabs hold of the mystical stone, knowing full well that it will burn her. She displays a very humble kind of courage. She does what needs to be done because it is right, and because if she doesn't do it, no one else will. Not once does she seek recognition for her accomplishments. In fact, most of the time she would rather that no one else knew about them. Mrs. Brisby is a very interesting type of hero in that she had no intention of becoming one. After everything that happened, she went back to being a mother, and she was content to remain that way. And Fluttershy certainly compares in some respects. Her humility and desire to avoid recognition, definitely. Her love and care for those that she mothers. I do not believe that Fluttershy has been tested nearly as harshly as Mrs. Brisby, at least as of yet. But the potential and the humility is there. I can see Fluttershy accomplishing those same feats of courage. Fluttershy has shown that despite her shyness and fear, she will face overwhelming danger when needed. I am particularly drawn to her experiences with Discord. Granted, Discord isn't as directly dangerous as, say, Dragon the cat or Jenner the rat. He could be, but he would rather have his fun. However, Discord is much more powerful and his influence much further reaching. And Fluttershy faced Discord with optimism and honesty. She was the only one who was not deceived by Discord's wiles. And she stuck to her task of being kind to Discord even when her friends kept telling her it was hopeless. Now, when comparing Fluttershy with Mrs. Brisby, I want you to ask yourself, does Fluttershy have that humble courage? Humility, certainly, but does the courage come from within herself, or does it have to be instilled or inspired to bring it out? Do you think that Fluttershy is following in Mrs. Brisby's footsteps? Is she the type that will eventually become the humble mother that will risk everything to save those that she loves? Clearly, she does not yet have the experience nor such a potential for loss as Mrs. Brisby did. But looking at the soul of the pony, as it were, I can see that she is already well on her way to becoming this type of hidden, unwitting hero. Only time will tell if she will be called to face the challenges and obstacles that will bring her there. If you have never seen or even heard of The Secret of Nimh, I would urge you to find this movie and see for yourself how enjoyable it is. Even if just to see the character of Mrs. Brisby and how her humble courage is an inspiration to all those around her. And for each of you who already know this character, I hope that you will leave your thoughts and feelings on this subject. How both Fluttershy and Mrs. Brisby are inspiring characters because of their willingness to put aside their fears in the moments that matter the most. I hope that you will come to enjoy both Fluttershy and Mrs. Brisby as much as I do. And I hope that each of you will remember this. Courage of the heart is very rare. The stone has a power when it's there. I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.